Hi class. So this video is going to talk about CERCA and how to write a paragraph using CERCA. This is going to be super helpful for you when you go to complete your weekly assignment, which is to write a paragraph using CERCA. So I'm going to quickly review what CERCA means, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with my example, which is going to help you when you go to write your CERCA paragraph. So CERCA is an acronym. It stands for claim, evidence, reasoning, counterargument, and audience. So whenever you are writing an argument, you're going to use CERCA. This applies for your other classes as well. So it's really important that you are on board with me now because we will use this throughout the year and in your other classes as well. So if you need a little bit of extra help, make sure you come to my office hours and I'll be happy to explain this. This is all new for everybody, so it's totally understandable to be confused. So let's go over each 5 of the components of an argument. The first one is claim. Claim is the first thing I should read when I go to read your paragraph or your essay. So the claim is what side you're on. It could be school uniforms should be mandated, or it could be middle schoolers should be allowed to have recess. Whatever you're arguing, that should be the first sentence so we know exactly what side you're on. And then in bold here, I wrote include your reason here too. It's important to make sure that you have a reason. In an essay, you have 3 reasons, right? We're only writing a paragraph, so you only need 1 reason. You can include more if you want to, but typically it's 1 reason per paragraph, so we're only going to focus on including 1 reason right now. So if we're talking about, I'm going to use my last example. Middle schoolers should be allowed to have recess because it improves their socioeconomic levels. So if that is going to be your reason, you can put it in the same sentence using the linking verb because. So whatever your claim is, you need to make sure that you have a reason, so include that reason. If you prefer, that could be your second sentence. And then you need evidence. So an evidence can be a quote, a case study, or an example. I'm actually going to add that because it is really important. Because some of our sources are actually not in writing. Our Vice documentary and our Black Mirror TV clips, those are videos, so you can't take a quote from them unless you really tried really hard. So an example would be fine. Reasoning is you explain how your quote proves your claim. So this one is going to be a little bit harder to remember. So reasoning, explain how your evidence proves your point. And then counter-argument is include at least one good reason why others might disagree or offer an alternative point of view. So I want you to think, how would people argue against you? And then you have to prove them wrong. So going back to my earlier example, I might write in this paragraph, some might say that middle schoolers are too old to have recess, but I would argue that no one is too old to look after their health. So that's a great example of one sentence that is a counter argument and you prove them wrong. So it's the counter argument and rebuttal. Audience just means avoid informal language and make sure you wrap up your CERCA with a conclusion. So we're going to look at examples of all of these in just a second. That was just a quick overview and introduction to the wording. So now we're going to go into the example. So your CERCA paragraph which I'll go ahead and pull that up right now. It is for Thursday, October 22nd, circa 1. It says, for this assignment, you will need to write a CERCA paragraph. You should argue that the social credit system will benefit society or that it will damage society. So that is your claim that is the question that you will create a claim about. And I've already started it for you using a sentence starter. So I'm going to tell you how to do this. It's really important that you do this correctly. You need to make sure you delete the lines before filling in your answer. So your claim is going to argue either that the social credit system benefits or damages society. So let's go ahead and look at my example. The social credit system will benefit society because it will help catch and arrest criminals. This is the example that I came up with when I was writing my CERCA paragraph. So as you can see, it has a claim. This part is the claim. The social credit system will benefit society. That tells the reader what side I'm on. And it has a reason. The reason becomes after because. Because it will help catch and arrest criminals. So make sure that you are confident. You should not say, I think the social credit will. No, be confident and just say the social credit system will, and then whatever your point of view is. So going back to the sentence starters, what you'll do is you're going to choose which side you're on. When you choose, you'll delete the other word. So I'm just going to make a copy of this so that I can show you without messing anything up. Okay. The social credit system will benefit or damage. So what I said is benefit. So I'm going to delete the rest of this and just have the word benefit here. Will benefit society because, and then you can type in your reason. My reason was it will help catch and arrest criminals. So you see, I deleted the lines here and replaced it with what I was writing. And I deleted the parentheses. So make sure you delete that stuff and just replace it with your own words. So now let's look at evidence. So what is our evidence? Well, we have looked at 3 things about China's social credit system. So let's review those right now. The NPR article, which is this article, this is what we either listened to for homework or you read for homework. So that can be your evidence. If you choose this, you can just pull a quote from here. So you can pull a quote just like that, copy and paste it. Or if your evidence is from the Vice documentary that we watched, you can use a specific example. So you don't need to have a quote. You can do a specific example. So you can say, in the Vice documentary, when she talked to this person, this thing happened. So just reference whatever happens in the video, that's your evidence. And then the Black Mirror clips are right here. For these, you would just reference a specific example from the Black Mirror clips. And then just make sure you reference where your evidence comes from. So just like I did here, I wrote in the Vice documentary. You can write in the NPR article and the Black Mirror clip. So just tell us wherever you're getting that information from. And then write out the evidence here. So let's look at my example. In the Vice documentary, they show how facial recognition technology compares faces to a criminal database and alerts nearby police departments. So that is a specific example from the Vice documentary. I would also like you to note that there is a comma after this because this is an introductory clause. So you should always have a comma after in the NPR article or in the Vice documentary, you should have a comma and then either a quote or a specific example. So let's go ahead and look at our sentence starters. You guys can follow along in your own paper. In the NPR article, Vice documentary, Black Mirror clips. So these are in parentheses because they're options. If this was on paper, you could circle one, but we're not going to circle one. We're just going to replace it with whatever we're saying. So I said the Vice documentary. So I am going to delete everything that's not the Vice documentary. So now it says in the Vice documentary, and then there's a bunch of lines. You're going to delete these lines. They're only there to let you know that you need to type something there. And then you can put your specific example or your quote. Really quick, I'm just going to show you how you could write a quote. So if this is the quote that I wanted to use, I can copy and then I can paste it. I hit Control V, which is the shortcut for paste, but I believe you could also right click and hit paste. So I'm going to hit Control V, and as you can see, the text looks totally different. So how can you make the text look right? Well, I use the format painter. If you just highlight the text that you want it to look like, and you hit this button, which is the format painter, then you highlight the stuff that doesn't look right, and it fixes it for you. So that's what I suggest doing. But then you would just need to make sure that you put quotations around this because these are someone else's words, not yours. But like I said, this is not my evidence. I used a specific example. So I was just showing you how to use a quote, but I'm actually going to copy and paste my own answer in there. And again, I use the format painter to make sure everything looks right. I'm going to go back and delete these spaces. I'm going to delete that extra period as well. All right, so we did C and E. Now we have R. R is reasoning. So reasoning, if you ever remember doing race, it's the E from race, which is explain. But here they call it reasoning. So explain how your quote or example proves your point. So what I wrote is also if someone commits a crime, it will likely be caught on camera, which will make it easy to verify. Tracking criminals and an increase in surveillance will make it much easier for criminals to be caught and arrested. So I'm just telling you how my example proves my point. Facial recognition technology compares faces to a criminal database and alerts nearby police departments. That is my evidence. How does that evidence prove my point? Well, if someone commits a crime, it's going to be caught on camera, super easy to verify. Tracking criminals will also just make it really easier for criminals to be caught and arrested. So I'm just explaining why I use that example. I'll go ahead and copy and paste that here. So I gave you the sentence starter. This evidence shows that. I'm going to go ahead and just paste over it because I know I have explained it how I like to explain it. And I'm going to use that format painter again. Okay, so we did C, E, R. Next is our counter argument. So counter argument is when you say, well, some people say this, but they're wrong because. So I wrote, even though some people may argue that people will have no privacy, Arresting criminals is much more important because it will make the world a safer place. So what I said is, hey, some people say that it's bad because you don't have any privacy, but really it makes the world a safer place. So you're going to tell us what some other people say, and you're going to prove them wrong. You see how I did it in one sentence? That's how you should do it too, because it saves a lot of room to just go ahead and do it in one sentence. It's less work for you. So in the sentence starters, I wrote, even though some people may argue that, they are wrong because. So if you were going to use these sentence starters, you could delete these spaces and just type whatever it is. But I've already written this, so I'm just going to paste over it. Again, the sentence starters are suggestions, and they're there to help you remember that you need to include that part of CERCA. So if you don't like the wording, go ahead and change it. Okay, and that is the last part. But I do want to say, I want to show you something. So this is the example altogether. It's also right here. And as you can see, the sentence starter, it leaves this sentence here. So this is going to be your concluding sentence where you wrap it all up in a pretty little bow. So you can always end something with a concluding sentence, and it just makes it feel like you finished your argument. So I haven't done that here for you, so I'm going to go ahead and do that here. Therefore, the social credit system that has been used in China will end up benefiting citizens as a whole. I'm going to read it one time just so we can see that it all makes sense and it's a really strong argument. The social credit system will benefit society because it will help catch and arrest criminals. In the Vice documentary, they show how facial recognition technology compares faces to a criminal database and alerts nearby police departments. Also, if someone commits a crime, it'll likely be caught on camera, which will make it easy to verify. Tracking criminals and an increase in surveillance will make it much easier for criminals to be caught and arrested. Even though some people may argue that people will have no privacy, arresting criminals is much more important because it will make the world a safer place. Therefore, the social credit system that has been used in China will end up benefiting citizens as a whole. I think that's a really strong CERCA paragraph. It's a really strong argument. It has evidence, it has reasoning, it has counter argument, it has a concluding sentence. It's really strong. And you will probably also notice that it is a pretty big paragraph. So we are going to be writing paragraphs that are longer than paragraphs you may have written in the past. So these tend to be like 5 to 7 sentences, which is the perfect amount for a paragraph. So I really just want to make sure that you know that you have to delete the spaces and delete the parentheses because some people forget to do that and it looks really bad. So just make sure you do that when you're filling this in. We are going to highlight this together in class. So I'm not going to do this here, but just we already know that the claim is the first sentence, evidence is the second sentence. This one is the reasoning. I actually used 2 different sentences for the reasoning. You are welcome to do that as well, or you can just stick with one. This is the counter argument, and then this is the concluding sentence. So I actually did have one there, but it's okay. And then finally, this is the rubric. So claim, counterclaim. Is there a claim connected to the question? Is there a counterclaim that has been proved wrong? Reason. Is there a reason included or following the claim? Evidence. Is there sufficient evidence quoted/cited correctly? Reasoning. Does the reasoning explain how the evidence relates to the claim? Organization. Is it well organized? Does it include a concluding sentence? Audience. Is the language/tone appropriate for the audience? And conventions of English. Are there any major spelling or grammar errors? So make sure you look at the rubric before you submit your final paragraph. If you need any help writing your paragraph, please reach out. Do not struggle silently. I can't help you if you're struggling silently. Just send me an email and say, hey, I really need some help. When can we talk about this? And I will make sure to schedule a time where we can talk about this and do it together. So just know that I'm here to help you. I know that this is a little bit overwhelming, but we're going to be doing this all year, and this is the first one. So I don't expect perfection. You'll be able to redo it in order to get a better score if you need to. So just do the best you can for right now, and we will talk about it in class whenever I see you next. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching this video. Bye!